The Pretty Posies bundle actually has 4 separate items in the bundle. So I'm going to break these out, and unfortunately I don't have finished packaging for all of them since, you know, these were the samples that I got to work with. So I hope you'll forgive me that, but I wanted to show you exactly what's in this bundle. So first of all, you have a Pretty Posies background stamp. This is going to make it really easy to use the flower images in the bundle in one go. You can watercolor over this, ink blend over it, do some ink resist. This is really technique friendly because there's a lot of different things you can do with an outline stamp like this. Those same flowers are in this stamp set. Let me put some, I'll put it in front of this stencil right here. So this is the Pretty Posies 4x6 stamp set. You've got 4 different greetings, 4 different flowers, and it works really well with the dies. So these dies, if you can see, you've got the 4 larger flowers, but I've also included these separate centers in case you want to cut the flowers out of solid colored cardstock. Then you'd have a center that you could cut out for the center of the flower as well. You've also got a smaller flower with that center cut out, and then 4 small ones that you can use for accents. I'm also really excited about this kind of elongated oval down here at the bottom. The inner shape is a very thin frame, and then the outer shape is kind of like a little oval. And this die in particular is meant to fit this greeting. So you could use it like that. And you'll see a card example with those items used together. Okay, so we've talked about the dies and the 2 stamps. Now let's look at the stencil set. I'm going to look at the back of the packaging here for just a moment. This stencil set has, let's see, is it 5 or 6? 6 stencils. I forgot there for a moment. So you can build out this entire background on a half sheet of letter paper, or there's a separate stencil that gives you all these individual elements. Let's take a look at the actual stencils themselves. So like I said, you're going to be able to build your kind of whole background here. Here's this one. This is one that puts in all the backgrounds and the centers of the flowers. I think this one could be really pretty used on its own on colored cardstock, but you're also going to use this in conjunction with these other 4 stencils that have different flowers, so they can layer and they look like they're overlapping. So it builds your entire background, and then there's a 6th stencil that has some additional shapes. So these shapes were made specifically to go with this stamp set. So you've got the flower right here. You can put that stencil right over the top and ink blend. I have a card showing that. I'll point it out to you. So all of these, you know, they will all fit the individual flower stamps. And I've also done the stencil so that when you find the right orientation for this flower right here, the center that's right next to it, you can just slide it right over and it will be exactly lined up for the center of the flower. And that's how it is for all 4 of these. You also have this same oval shape that's on the dies over here, so you can kind of combine those. So you can put that oval over that greeting right there. This one that's like a little elongated little bar, that's for the thinking of you. I have a card showing that. And then this circle fits that just saying hello. It can also go on the thanks for all you do just perfectly. So all of these elements are to go with this stamp set in particular. So if I was going to recommend, like if you were only going to get 2 items out of the bundle because they work so well together, I would say the stencil set and then the 4x6 stamp set. But really, then you want the dies to cut out the flowers, and then you want the background so you can have all, you know, it kind of builds on itself. So it's actually a really great bundle to use all together. So let's look at some cards that I made using the Pretty Posies bundle. This first card was made using the stencil set. And what I did was I ink blended onto some ballet slipper cardstock. So when it came to do the background layer of the stencils and also the centers, I just only did the centers of the flowers. I did not do the background since I was already working on some ballet slipper cardstock. That was just a way to make it a little bit faster. And then I stamped this and I made a little thin frame using the dies. And I love Wildberry on this, all the Wildberry cardstock and the Wildberry stamping. I think it looks great. Also with the stamp set, I created this very simple card. right here. I stamped the flowers in gold and then heat embossed them. Or rather, I stamped them and then gold heat embossed them, and then used the dies to cut them out. This frame right here is from my A2 Thin Frames bundle. Here's another card where I wanted to show you the stenciling that you can do. I didn't use the stamp set for this. I just stenciled the images and then cut them out. But I did do the centers from that stencil as well. And then I have some of these little die cut smaller flowers around. Here's that longer bar with a stamped greeting in the center. And then I have the large background stamp coming in on just the side. This is one way to use those smaller background stamps on a larger card. So this is a 5x7 card, but I have that background coming off the side a little bit. And then also using this background, I wanted to do a little bit of watercoloring. So I actually used the same Concord and Ninth ink colors that I've been using for all of these cards, these same ones over here, and I just smushed them onto a slick surface and then picked up the ink with a paintbrush to paint in this entire background. For the gold frames on this card, I used my A7 Thin Frames dies. I also wanted to show you this card. It actually uses another bundle that's in this release, but I wanted to point out the use of the Pretty Posies stamps, stencils, and dies here in the background. So I stamped these flowers, stenciled on the color, and then used the dies, and then I just glued them down behind these letters. Before I move on, I just wanted to show you one more background that I made using the Pretty Posies stencils. For this one, I omitted one of the flower layers to keep the flowers white. So I just kept one of those layers out, but then I ink blended all of the other layers. And so I get this really pretty pinks and reds kind of combination. So this is the Pretty Posies bundle. There are 4 items in the bundle. I think they work so well all together, and they're a lot of fun to use.